Hello everyone, and welcome to my CSU channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Todd Chrisley's son heartbroken. Dad officially severs all ties? One of Todd Chrisley's sons has been left heartbroken, but did the father officially sever all ties? It has been hard for his children since he and his wife, Julie Chrisley, are behind bars. Yet, has Todd found a way to hurt one of his kids from jail? Keep reading for more details on what is going down. Todd Chrisley's son heartbroken. Dad officially severs all ties? Since Todd Chrisley started serving his 12-year prison sentence in Pensacola, Florida, things have changed. His daughter, Savannah Chrisley, has had to take on the parental role of his son, Grayson Chrisley, and his granddaughter-turned-daughter, Chloe Chrisley. Todd's wife, Julie Chrisley, was sentenced to 7 years and is serving her time in Kentucky. Therefore, it is not so easy for the children to see their parents all of the time. Savannah has admitted to having guilt over not being there for them as much, or living her life the way she wants to. Chase Chrisley called off his engagement and started a new romance while his parents were incarcerated. Plus, Savannah has accused her sister, Lindsay Chrisley, of putting Todd and Julie in prison. There is a lot of familial drama, and now it is only getting worse. For Father's Day, Todd's son from a previous marriage and Chloe's father, Kyle Chrisley, shared an interesting Instagram post. It was of him and his father when he was young. He wrote, "Even though you won't talk to me," but still proceeded to wish Todd well. Now, according to In Touch Weekly, Kyle Chrisley is speaking out about his estrangement from his father, Todd Chrisley. So, it seems that Kyle has tried all that he can and does want a relationship with Todd. Unfortunately, there is something blocking that from happening, though Kyle has no idea what it is. Mended fences. The two have had a strained relationship in the past. However, they were able to reconcile, as Kyle Chrisley explained. Once Todd Chrisley went to jail, things started off really well, per Kyle. The two emailed, and Kyle visited a few times. He went on to add, furthermore, he does not see his stepmother, Julie Chrisley, or his daughter, Chloe Chrisley. He was supposed to speak to Savannah Chrisley regarding that detail, but was told it would never happen. The glow from the late evening Nashville skyline flickered through the blinds of Kyle Chrisley's apartment. It cast a soft orange sheen on the boxes stacked by the door, boxes Kyle never thought he'd see again, because they contained the last of his father's belongings he had held on to since the family fell apart. A crisp envelope lay on the table, still unopened, but heavy enough to suffocate him with its meaning. It came from Dad. And worse, it came certified. Kyle stared at it with a mixture of dread and resignation. Todd Chrisley had never been subtle, but formal communication? That was a language of finality. After weeks of rumors, whispers, and cryptic messages from relatives, Kyle knew what that envelope probably contained. He just hadn't been ready to face it. For years, he'd clawed his way through recovery, through rebuilding, through trying to be a man his daughter Chloe could be proud of. But when it came to Todd, every step forward felt like 2 steps back. They tried reconnecting before. The internet called it a miracle. But the Chrisleys were made of complicated threads, tangled tightly, and most days Kyle felt he was the only one whose threads kept snapping. He finally grabbed the envelope. His hands shook. He tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed cold, stark. His heartbeat stuttered as he read the first line. "Kyle, this is not written out of anger, but clarity." Clarity. The word landed like a stone. Kyle swallowed hard and kept reading. Todd wrote about boundaries, emotional exhaustion, about needing distance for peace. He wrote about how their family's battles, legal, financial, public, had drained him. He wrote that he needed to step back from toxic cycles, and though he didn't use the word disown, the message thundered between the lines. Todd Chrisley was severing ties. Not forever, maybe, but indefinitely. Kyle sank onto the couch, the letter sliding from his hands. His breath shuddered like a car running out of fuel. "Why now?" he whispered to no one. He had worked so damn hard to be better. Months of therapy, accountability, repairing bonds with people he had once pushed away. And yet, the thing he'd hoped would change everything, reconciliation with his dad, had snapped again, like a brittle thread stretched past its limit. A knock startled him. "Kyle," a familiar voice called. "Savannah." Of course she'd come. She always sensed when things were about to break. He opened the door, and she saw the letter immediately, lying like a crime scene clue on the couch. Her shoulders fell. "So he sent it," she murmured. Kyle didn't trust his voice, so he nodded. Savannah took a slow breath and sat beside him. "You know he's not in a good place either," she said softly. "Prison changed him. The appeal stuff, Mom, everything's been overwhelming. He thinks cutting ties is protecting him." Kyle clenched his jaw. "What about me? What does it protect for me?" Savannah's eyes glistened. I know it hurts. But he sees the world differently now. He thinks distance is the only way to keep control." "He doesn't have control," Kyle snapped. "He just has walls." Silence. Savannah gently picked up the letter. "This isn't permanent. Dad writes like this, when he feels cornered. It sounds pretty damn permanent to me." She didn't argue. She didn't try to make excuses. Instead, she pulled her knees to her chest and leaned her head on his shoulder, the way she used to when they were kids, and the world felt too heavy. "Maybe I should have done more," Kyle whispered. "Maybe if I'd called more. Gone to see him more. Maybe if I hadn't." "Stop." Savannah grabbed his hand. "You don't carry this alone. Dad makes choices. You make choices. But you can't rewrite the past to make it make sense. That's not how healing works." Kyle shut his eyes. His throat tightened with the kind of grief that wasn't sharp, but slow, like the steady ache after a bone breaks. Savannah hesitated, then added, "He still talks about you, you know. Even when he's mad." Kyle scoffed. "Probably complaining. Sometimes. But sometimes," she sighed. "Sometimes it's regret." That word tugged at him, pulling his pain in two directions, hope and heartbreak. "Dad's scared," Savannah said. "You're scared. We all are. But maybe this is temporary. Maybe he needs time to process, to get his head straight. Maybe when Mom comes home, everything shifts again. You can't take this letter as the final chapter." Kyle shook his head. "It feels final. Feelings aren't facts." He let out a dry laugh. "That sounds like one of your therapy lines." "Yeah," she smiled faintly. "Because they're true." Kyle stood and walked to the window. The city lights looked indifferent to his pain, glittering like they belonged to a different world, a world where families didn't fall apart under a spotlight. "I'm tired, Save," he confessed. "Tired of hurting. Tired of trying. Tired of wondering why I'm never enough for him." Savannah walked over, turned him around, and held his face between her hands. "You are enough. Dad's pain doesn't define your worth." His chest cracked open at the words he'd needed to hear for years.